If you enjoy this podcast, then be sure to check out Farm Small, Farm Smart Daily, where you can get your daily dose of farm wisdom. Tune in every day to learn the latest tips, tricks, and stories from the world of farming. Whether you're a seasoned farmer or just getting started, our podcast has something for everyone. Join us as we explore topics like farm business, crop planning, soil management, and tools and technology. Start your day off right with Farm Small, Farm Smart Daily, available on all major podcast platforms. Don't miss out. Subscribe today.
On this topic of economic impact of farmers, it has been extremely significant. So last year being at the Monroe market, we did it, and I love that. I mean, that was a big selling point for us, was that it was that was one of the things that they did, and we benefited from it. But it definitely, for a myriad of different reasons, it wasn't quite as successful as I was hoping it could be. And then coming to Athens, in full honesty and transparency, there was a little bit of hesitancy with me going. One, because it's just sort of like little fish in a big pond, but that has nothing to do with the market itself. That's just more of like my mindset. But the other thing was, it's like, all right, so we're moving to a more affluent, more urban environment of people. It's like, you got to go where the money is. Like, that's, so much is talked about like that. But from the moment we started our farm, even before we had a farmer's market that we were attending, it was really important for my wife and I that sort of the motto of what we do is real food for real people. It's on our business cards, it's on our sides, on our signs, it's on our website. Because for me, I think one of the big things, and I've talked about this ad nauseum at this point, but one of the things that is really important to me is sort of a newcomer into this space is to get away from that kind of, I would say, somewhat antiquated idea that it's like you just got to go where the money is. You got to find the rich, affluent folks because they're the only ones who can afford this stuff. And you just got to sell your stuff at the highest premium that you can. And that's how you have to earn an income. And everybody else be damned, because, if you can't afford it, then I don't have time for you, because I gotta go where the money is. And I get that. I understand that. And I think in a world prior to programs like this, I think that sort of was the reality. But kind of us not having that experience, I, from day one, really felt strongly that we wanted to provide, like I said, real food for real people. We didn't want to just sell to the affluent white urban suburban populations who frequent the farmers market, but we want to the people, people like myself, people with families and are young and don't have the best income, or people in communities, people of color, people of just like lower opportunities to really succeed, but for them to be able to also have access to this food, because frankly, they need it far more than even the people who can't afford it. There's a passage in scripture that's always important to me when Jesus is saying, it's like, who needs a doctor, the sick or the healthy? And in a lot of ways, this feels somewhat similar. It's like, who really needs this food? The healthy, affluent people who have access to, they can get it from Whole Foods or Trader Joe's and have excellent healthcare, or the people who have a far more limited access. And so coming to the market, that was a big selling point for us, was to the market sort of assisting us in facilitating our ability to fulfill our mission of bringing real food to real people. But I was completely blown away at the level in which that would happen. From the get go, like, wow, we're going from getting, 20, maybe $30 worth of the doubled SNAP dollars to, in the neighborhood of, 60, 80, 100. And then getting into, once the food, like the food prescription thing, we're easily hitting triple digits and $200-$300 a market, so on and so forth. I hope you don't mind me sharing numbers like that.
I am so happy to hear this, because there's two sides of the impact and both of them are important. So I'm very happy to hear this.
Yeah. And to the point where now, I mean, depending on the week, the money that we're receiving from the sales that we're creating through the program with Wholesaom Wave, it's roughly about a quarter to a third of our like farmers market income every week. And so, I mean, yeah, without these programs, we would be cutting off, a third to a quarter of our monthly income. I can speak from the farmer impact side of things and say this program is vital to us in our success.
I'm so happy to hear that. that is the goal of these programs, is now it makes it economically feasible for folks to go into communities that aren't as affluent. Who exactly, the who needs a doctor?
Hmm.
The sick or the healthy. Who needs the food? The sick or the healthy. And
Yeah.
that's truly what we're dealing with. And this kind of circles back into this mentality of food as medicine and who has the ability to access it. But now it can be accessed in a way that economically supports the farmer, puts food on the farmer's table, because so many of our small scale farmers are also recipients of SNAP.
Yep.
The
So are we.
people
We're
who
one of them.
are growing our food. Yes, the
Yeah.
people who grow our food are struggling to afford food, and that is not the system that we want to be okay with.
And I think that's why it's so impactful for me. And I would be curious to know the statistics of how many of our food producers in this country, almost in an ironic way, are receiving, government assistance to put food on the table. And whether that's because we're having to take so much of our income and reinvest it into our business because it's such a capital intensive industry, with lower profit margins, so on and so forth. But I think also too, it's just the nature of none of us are growing like a whole a whole diet's worth of things. I grow a
Right.
good mix of vegetables and stuff, but it's like my kids can't eat Hackeri turnips and broccolini all day every day. Like
No.
they need a well-rounded diet, and so being able to participate and then also benefit is a really wonderful sort of full circle concept for us to be a part of.
Yeah. That's the goal. But I do, your point about like how many of our food producers are participating in federal benefit programs like this. I think it depends on who you call a food producer, because I'd also like to point out that there's many people who are growing, picking, and packaging our food that do not receive benefits, even though at an economic level they might be eligible. So I think that that probably skews the numbers that we see.
Today's episode is brought to you by Modern Grower, a proud retailer of the Sumi Soaker system. The Sumi Soaker system is an irrigation game changer. It offers multiple advantages for market gardeners. Even gentle watering without dry spots common with wobblers. The system is lightweight and portable, so you can use it with quick rotation crops. It's low maintenance with no parts to break or clog. It's versatile. You can use it for direct seeding, transplants, and cover crops. And it's very cost effective compared to overhead options. And maybe one of its best and most unique features is it can put down water in a rectangular pattern, which is very different than rotating sprinklers that leave circular patterns, often with dry corners and overwatered centers. If you want to learn more about the Sumi Soaker system, use the link below or visit us at shop.moderngrower.co.